Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about foods that should not be stored in the refrigerator. If these foods are stored improperly, the quality of the food can degrade, and toxic substances can be produced, which can be harmful to health. Therefore, it is important to know how to properly store these foods. Now, let's learn about the foods that are not suitable for refrigeration, and the reasons why through this video. Let's learn together and get tips on how to eat healthy and delicious food. First of all, eggs. Eggs are coated with a protective layer called a cuticle as soon as they are laid by the chicken. Although eggs seem to be completely protecting their contents from the outside, there are actually about 7,000 to 18,000 tiny pores on the shell surface. These pores allow moisture and carbon dioxide to escape from inside the egg to the outside, but also prevent microbes from the outside from entering. However, if you wash the egg with water, the cuticle can be damaged, making it easier for external microbes to penetrate. This increases the chance of contamination by food poisoning bacteria such as salmonella. If you consume food contaminated with salmonella, you may experience symptoms such as diarrhea, spasmodic abdominal pain, headache, fever, vomiting, and nausea. In severe cases, it can invade the central nervous system and cause inflammation throughout the body. If the surface or inside of the egg is contaminated with salmonella, it can reach dangerous levels about 3 weeks after being stored at room temperature. But if you refrigerate the eggs, bacteria hardly grow even after 6 weeks. Therefore, it's best to store eggs in the refrigerator, and it's even better to store them separately in a storage box at the bottom of the refrigerator to prevent contamination of other ingredients while keeping them fresh. Next, potatoes. If you store potatoes at refrigeration temperatures below 4 degrees Celsius, the amount of reducing sugars can increase, which can produce a harmful substance called acrylamide. Acrylamide is a suspected human carcinogen that is produced when food is cooked at high temperatures. Also, if you store potatoes in a cold place below 4 degrees Celsius, endocrine disruptors can induce the production of acrylamide. If you store potatoes in a lighted place, a toxic substance called solanine can be produced, so it's good to store them in a dark place using something like a paper box. If you store potatoes in a cool place, the starch in the potato can convert to sugar and affect the texture, resulting in a sweet taste. Next are nuts. If you store nuts improperly, a powerful toxic substance called aflatoxin can be produced. This substance is known as a grade 1 carcinogen that can cause liver cancer, so care is needed. When storing nuts, it's best to store them in a vacuum sealer or Ziploc bag and suck out as much air as possible. Then refrigerate or freeze them to prevent the formation of aflatoxins. Aflatoxin is known to grow in hot and humid environments where the temperature is above 25 degrees Celsius or the relative humidity is 60 to 80%. So you need to maintain appropriate temperature and humidity when storing nuts. Next is raw chicken. Campylobacter is one of the food poisoning bacteria that exist in the gastrointestinal tract of animals, livestock, and poultry. If infected with this bacteria, symptoms such as fever, fatigue, headache, and muscle pain may appear. The risk of infection is higher when meat is not fully cooked or consumed raw. Cross-contamination can occur with other ingredients or kitchen utensils around raw chicken. When washing raw chicken, water may splash and contaminate other ingredients, and contamination can occur by touching other ingredients with hands that touched raw chicken or through kitchen utensils. When storing raw chicken in the refrigerator, it should be well contained in a sealed container so that no blood comes out. It is best to store raw chicken on the bottom shelf of the refrigerator. For safer storage, it is important to store raw chicken separately from other ingredients. Next is rice. Excluding moisture, rice is mostly made of starch. Starch is quickly digested and absorbed as glucose, which can raise blood sugar and can be a cause of obesity and diabetes. Resistant starch forms in rice that has been stored in the refrigerator, which is not absorbed in the small intestine and goes down to the colon. Resistant starch has the effect of reducing blood sugar rise and increasing satiety, and even if you eat the same amount of rice, you can reduce calorie intake. Resistant starch is most active at 1-4 degrees. So rice that has been stored in the refrigerator for more than 6 hours contains a lot of resistant starch. If you freeze the rice, the change in starch does not occur, making it difficult to see the effect of resistant starch. After cooking rice, let out the steam once and put it in the refrigerator for at least 6 hours. Then, if you heat it in the microwave, you can eat healthy rice. Next is tomato. Ripe tomatoes ripen deliciously, but the cold temperature of the refrigerator hinders tomatoes from ripening deliciously. The cold air of the refrigerator changes the chemical structure of the volatile components that give flavor to tomatoes, steals taste and moisture, and stops ripening. Also, the quality deteriorates as the skin surface becomes wrinkly. Tomatoes should be stored at room temperature in a cool place without sunlight between 15 and 25 degrees, and it is good to purchase as little as possible and only enough to eat within 2 to 3 days. Next is garlic. If you store garlic in the refrigerator, it absorbs the moisture in the refrigerator and easily becomes watery, and blue sprouts and molds proliferate easily. Garlic should be stored at cool room temperature, and if stored in a dark place, the scent of garlic lasts longer. Also, it's good to store garlic in a well-ventilated place. If you store it in a well-ventilated place, you can keep it fresh for a long time. Lastly, honey. When honey is stored at a temperature below 15 degrees, glucose forms crystals and hardens. When storing honey, it is best to store it at room temperature. Keep the lid of the honey jar tightly closed and store it at room temperature to maintain the taste of honey for a long time. Especially, miscellaneous honey with high glucose content can easily form crystals. Today we learned about foods that should not be put in the refrigerator. Even if you store them in the refrigerator, they may get cooler, but they do not stay fresh. Health is the most important part of our life, and organizing the refrigerator can also affect our health. If this video was helpful to you, please press the like and subscribe buttons and share it with your precious ones. I will come to you with more informative videos in the future. Have a healthy and happy day today. Thank you.